Aha. Excellent. Okay. I am to live and die. I'm being joined by Molar Bear, and we are going to discuss some Hearthstone changes made by
Aha.
Blizzard.
Excellent.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. And first of all, if you don't know what Hearthstone is, then you probably just disregard this video altogether. But if you know what Hearthstone is and you play on a pretty consistent basis, then these changes are kind of jaw-dropping, especially if you read them for the first time. Now, if you've played the game, you might understand why Blizzard made these changes. What are your thoughts on that, Mr. Muller?
Uh, I mean, they said it right in the post. I don't know if you have the web page up
I do.
itself, but they're just trying to they're adding more cards to the game. They're trying to change the meta a little bit more. So by taking out those past expansions and a couple of these classic cards, you're trying to liven up what you see in standard play. So.
That's right. I'm going to read the. Okay, so right above where it says Hall of Fame, some classic cards are now in Wild and can't be played in Standard. Right above that, that paragraph says to help meet our goals, certain cards from the classic set will become exclusive to the Wild format. These cards will be added to the new Hall of Fame set. So now we're getting another set of cards called the Hall of Fame, which will also include cards that are currently in the renewed set. I'm sorry, in the reward set.
Mhm.
So for those of you who started in Hearthstone or started in the beta or back in the beta, there were cards that you got just for as a reward, and these are going to be in the Hall of Fame set also because they're really old. So, cards that have been around for a while. But anyways, let's go down to our first card. Our first card is Azure Drake, and I'll let you begin with Azure Drake and how you feel about the card not existing in the standard deck anymore.
I don't know. I mean, well, like you were in the beta, or you've played at least like a couple months more than I did. So I came in, and all I've known is Azure Drake was great.
Yeah,
You need something on turn 5. It's a great. It has that battle cry for a card. It gives you spell damage. It's got a lot of utility. So I've only like my experience with Hearthstone has Azure Drake hasn't been touched, and that's how I feel about the rest of these Hall of Fame cards, kind of. So. Um,
right.
I don't know. That's a big one. I mean, if you're thinking about like dragon decks or um, shaman with the spirit claws, things like that, it takes a good bit away from it. I'm curious to see what they will try to replace it with, or I don't know, just how they try to supplement for it.
This card, Azure Drake, to me is a okay, so if you read the text below the card on the site, it says Azure Drake is a strong neutral card that ended up being a bit too versatile, and thus became one of the most played cards in the game. Hmm. Okay. There should be more 5-drop options for players rather than considering Azure Drake an auto include. Well, you know, okay, so when you make a deck, okay, let's just say you make a deck and you think about what kind of cards are going into a deck, and if these cards happen to be spell damage type cards, like for example Fireball, or um, uh, what other cards am I thinking of here? Fireball, Ice, um, Ice,
Frostball,
Frostbolt, right, right. What's the rogue card that costs 2 but it gives you a combo for 4? Eviscerate,
eviscerate. Yep.
Eviscerate. Those type of cards. If you're playing these type of cards that have damage through burn, then Azure Drake is a no-brainer because of the spell damage.
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
and the battle cry gives you a card. I mean, this is a powerful card, a very very powerful card. In fact, I would argue that this being a rare, this is probably the most powerful rare card in the classic cards. Do you agree?
I won't say powerful. I'll say most like utility for sure.
Okay,
I
most
mean,
most versatile card because it'll
most
it'll
versatile car.
it'll go in every deck that can think of. Am I going to do spell damage, or am I going to do or do I need a card draw?
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. This is one of the most versatile cards, and it makes you scratch your head about why they would remove this card from standard play, and
Yeah,
put it in deck.
agreed. Agree.
But other than that, man, Azure Drake has been the card. Like this is the go-to card right here. So,
Hmm.
so their explanation here is that they want you to pick another 5-drop 5-mana card instead of Azure Drake, and that's why they're removing it.
I guess. I mean, it's if you think about it, really good transition to those upper mana cards. Like if say you're playing like a control deck or a tempo deck, if you don't have anything for turn 6 or something like that, you have Azure Drake, you get another chance to pick something at it, you know?
Right?
So, um, yeah, like I said, it's probably the most like versatile card that they're putting in the Hall of Fame, that it's like untouchable.
For
But
sure. And this is a rare. By the way, this is a blue rare. Like the blue crystal in the middle is a rare. Okay, we're not talking about an epic card. We're not talking about a legendary card. This is a rare card that they're removing.
mhm.
Okay, moving on. The next one on the list down the page, Sylvanas Windrunner. This is a card that they had already nerfed.
Did they? I
This,
had no
yes,
idea.
they did.
I had
This
no
this
idea.
was a 5 mana card at one time during the beta.
Huh, interesting.
They had already nerfed this card, and this has been a 6 drop card for ever for the
Oh
last
yeah.
2 years now,
Huh.
at least 2 years, maybe even longer than that. But it's been a 6 mana card forever, and in fact, it was a dual card. It was one of those cards where in in a normal ranked, if you just create your deck and go to the ladder or go to casual, it was a 6 mana card, and for a while in arena, it was a 5 mana card. So
Wow,
it
that's
was
really interesting.
yeah, that was one of those dual cards. I think I got my facts right there. If I don't have my facts right, then sorry. But I think that's how it was for a little bit.
Okay. Wow.
So
Yeah, then that's okay.
go ahead.
That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, okay. So your thoughts on Sylvanas? How do you think of the card? Is it a card that you like, dislike? What are your take? What's your take on the card, just as an objective standpoint?
I think Sylvanas was really strong towards not this past expansion or adventure, but it it used to be its prime. It's past its prime for sure. When you had like the N'Zoth decks just coming out and things like that, but now with Gadgetzan coming out, it's kind of seen less play, and I understand that because there's so many things that you can do to dodge that. There's so many different ways to polymorph or hex or even silence. So it's kind of gone down in its power. It's just weird to see it go. I mean, if you're like me and you like playing with like the death rattle gimmick, of course N'Zoth is a deck that you want to try, but with Sylvanas gone, I mean that's a pretty big loss to death rattle decks.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And I think your point that this latest expansion, the current meta right now, is not a death rattle meta
Yeah,
whatsoever. So this card, Sylvanas, it's funny that you're saying this because think about it. If Sylvanas' value has dropped after this latest expansion, kind of makes you scratch your head about why they're removing Sylvanas now. Sylvanas was much more powerful about a year ago
mhm, yeah,
during the Zoth era, correct?
I agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you would think, okay, wait a second, Blizzard, what are you telling us here? That these cards aren't going to matter if they're removed now? you know?
I yeah, I think well, I think it's also just saying how the meta is currently, how bland it is. You only get like three different kinds of get decks. So,
Yeah, well, this card is, I mean, she is the boss. When
mhm.
she's on the field of play, it demands attention. Unless there's some spooky, unless there's something going on that where you can kill the other person in that turn,
Yeah.
when she's on the battlefield, she demands attention because of her death rattle effect. I mean,
No, absolutely.
but yeah, notice the text below this card here on the page. It says, "Mind control costs 10 mana. We have exciting death rattle build rounds coming soon." So, my take on these two cards being removed and the next ones we're coming up to is that they're actually clearing these cards out for cards coming in.
Mhm.
I strongly believe that, and because of what they say here, coming soon, cards that are coming soon, and in combination with Sylvanas, they would be too powerful for standard. So, Molar Bear, um, are you aware of any cards they removed in previous expansions to make room for cards in later expansions that made them too powerful? Are you familiar with any cards like that?
No, not at all.
Okay, so it begs the question, why now? Why now? Why
Mhm.
Sylvanas?
Mhm.
Why Azure Drake? Why now? Okay.
It
Moving on.
looks like they have something planned.
They
That's
do.
that's that's exciting though.
Yes.
That is pretty exciting.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. A Death Rattle build around coming soon in combination with Sylvanas that would be too powerful
Hmm.
for standard. That's saying a lot. Okay, let's see if they actually hold their uh you know hold their worth here with with what they're saying. Let's see if there's a card coming out in an expansion here in the future, which would make Sylvanas a really powerful card. Which, by the way, she's a legendary. She should be really powerful. Okay, just throwing it out there.
Point taken.
Okay, here
But
we
yeah,
go. Are we done with Sylvanas? Do you have any other words about Sylvanas?
I'm gonna miss its cry whenever you
Oh
place
man,
it.
oh man, it's so bad. My Barnes Dex is hurting so bad right now.
Yeah.
But and the next Barnes target, for me at least, on the list here is Ragnaros the Fire Lord. This is a card, Molar Bear, that everyone wants to craft.
Yeah, I actually think I did craft it when I
Yeah,
first started playing.
exactly. All right, let's hear your thoughts about Ragnaros. What does this do to you that this is removed?
It's it's not as big, honestly, as the past two cards we've talked about. It's a big one just because it was probably one of my first legendaries that I had,
True that. Me too.
but the burst potential that you can get from it, it's huge. Yeah, especially when you Barnes it, like you said. But I don't know. I don't have like a huge attachment to it quite as much. It's something strong at turn 8, you know. Yeah, you can Barnes it out. You can do all those gimmicky things like an Aviana into a bunch of really high mana cards or things like that. But aside from that, I honestly, it's just like that one turn. It's there for one turn. You hit something for 8, and then your opponent goes, "Oh, I should probably take care of that, or else it's just gonna wreak havoc."
Right.
It doesn't really strike me as something that's um, something big in the transition in your like standard play.
So in the text below the card, and I, by the way, I totally agree with what you said. If you read the text below the card, it says they're trying to make a case for why they're removing this, and it says in deck building or decision during deck building, is this the 8 mana minion better? Is this 8 mana minion better than Ragnaros? You know, I have to go back to the standard meta right now. How many how many aggressive meta decks right now have a card higher than an 8 drop?
Oh yeah, if
Is there?
you're nah,
No,
there's probably any no.
there isn't. So
Mm.
this question is this 8 mana minion better than Ragnaros rather than is this 8 mana minion the best choice for my deck type? Well, if you have a deck that's going to kill you in 6 turns, Ragnaros is not going to be a consideration in your deck.
No, fully agree. Yeah. So it's it's just like a I don't know. It's sad to see it go for sure. It's also one of my golden legendaries, which I'm sad that I won't be able to use during standard play. But
You're going
that's
to get
fine.
the 2400 dust though from it if you read the deck if you read
I
the
don't know if I want to
article.
dust it either, though. It's just something like I have there.
You're going to get it
Maybe.
regardless. You don't have to dust it. It's going to be
Oh
in your
wait,
it,
that's something I didn't read. Okay, cool, very
yeah.
cool.
You'll have to go back and read that. I believe that's what it said. In fact, I was reading the comments below the article and I'm pretty sure that's what they were
Mhm.
saying. So
Okay, but yeah, that's it for me, really.
yeah, again, this card and Sylvanas. Okay, so we're thinking of let me think of some decks that were made in the current. Well, let's say before uh, the Patches the Pirate decks. Okay, so we're talking um, Ramp Druid, correct?
Mhm.
Freeze did Freeze Mage run Ragnaros or did Tempo Mage? Tempo Mage ran Ragnaros,
Tempo.
correct? Tempo Mage ran
Mhm.
Ragnaros. Ramp Druid ran Ragnaros usually, or had some whatever. And guess what other card that Ramp Druid probably ran? Sylvanas Windrunner. Do you know?
Sounds about right.
Take a wild guess what card Sylvanas like totally owns. Ragnaros. If you can play Sylvanas on a board with Ragnaros, dude, Sylvanas wrecks Ragnaros.
Uh-huh. Fair enough. Very true.
I mean, if Ragnaros is on the board of play and you play a Sylvanas with him naked, it's like wow, please hit Sylvanas, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that's something I didn't think of either. Good call.
And they're both
Mm-hmm.
out of standard. Now, of course, these cards are in wild. You're getting your full dust value for them also because they're changing these cards. And they do this. They do this every time they change a card. So the last time they changed Sylvanas, I didn't have Sylvanas when they changed it. The last time they nerfed it to 6 mana, but all the people who had Sylvanas got the full dust if they dusted her.
Wow. Okay.
But now they're giving you the dust regardless of whether of if you have the card, you're still going to get the dust for her. So that's good.
Yeah, that's not bad. Not bad at all.
All right, moving down the list, we have Power Overwhelming. This is a Warlock card. It is a white crystal, which means it's a common for the class of Warlock. Now, okay, so let's just go back and review real quick. Azure Drake is a common card. It's not a class-specific card. Sylvanas Windrunner is a common card. It's not a class-specific card. And Ragnaros is a common card. It's not a class-specific card. It's a classic card. Okay, all these are classic cards that came with the. As soon as the game was released, those three cards were in the meta. Obviously, Sylvanas and Ragnaros being legendary cards. But now we have our first class card, Power Overwhelming. The card reads, give a friendly minion +4/+4 until end of turn, then it dies horribly. I have mixed feelings about this card leaving the meta right now. But let's hear your opinion on the card first.
Um. Okay. Well, considering that I don't play Zoo as much, or
Mm-hmm.
I didn't play what was it, Disco Zoo either,
Mm-hmm.
things like that. I'd always play combo decks. So this one actually particularly hits me a little bit harder than the other ones. My only Warlock decks are around the Leroy Power Overwhelming, and then Faceless. What is it? The 5 mana 3/3 that takes it, that copies your
Yeah, Faceless Manipulator.
innate. Yeah, I was.
Faceless Manipulator,
Yeah,
yes.
that's what I thought it was, and I couldn't say it. Yeah, I all my decks kind of go around that. So the fact that that's leaving kind of hurts. Kind of hurts a lot.
Right, yes, totally agree. For any combo deck, when you're using Warlock, this is the card.
Yeah. So that's interesting. It's intriguing too that it's a like that specific of a class card. I'm not reading the what they're talking about it, so I'll let you take care of that then.
Yeah, so when I played Warlock, I played Zoo decks. So I played two varieties, or two decks when I played Zoo. I played the normal Zoo, the low cost Zoo, which included the Nerubian Egg and, Haunted Creeper um, with Knife Juggler, that
Hmm.
deck. And then it had, can't the Dark Iron Dwarf, Defender Vargas, that deck, and it didn't have any. The only two cards that were 5 mana or above was Doomguard, and Doomguards were your closers because you put all your cards out on the battlefield and it only had those cards in your hand. You didn't have to worry about discarding any cards. Well, when it came to the end of the game, or when you got your opponent down low enough, this card was your finisher because you
Right.
gave a minion +4/+4, and guess what? Every other card you put out on the battlefield either had 2 attack, 3 attack, or 1 attack, or something like that. And if the opponent had 5 man or 5 health or 6 health or whatever, and you had any type of minions on the battlefield, this card finished the game.
Hmm.
Especially if you could get it out, like if you had a minion out and you could play it and then play Doomguard, and then get the even if a minion had +1 attack, and then you give this +4/+4, you get 5, and then Doomguard was a 5 attack was 10. So even if you could get your opponent down to 10 life, you could probably win the game at some point. at that time.
Yeah.
So my feelings on this card is it's a hurt to the aggressive decks or the combination decks, but at the same time, it's all right. Like I play these aggressive decks on the ladder, and I'm like, you know what, this card, yeah, it, it can really make your day a little bit less bright. You know.
Yeah. No, so I'll read their comment underneath.
All right.
Allows for extremely mana efficient minion trades or high spikes of damage. Yeah, that's your burst damage potential. That's probably referring to the combo. And then skip to the end. This change will help increase the variety of cards in Warlock decks over time. I agree with that, but still, I mean, I do think that there needs to be a good replacement in these next couple of expansion sets or adventures, just because, yeah, you're losing a lot of utility in terms of a cheap card. I mean, this is one of those cards that you life tap for. You try to
Right.
find this.
Hmm.
Um,
Exactly.
so like what will you be doing? What card will replace that or have some better effect to it? I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see. I think they're gonna have to replace this one for sure.
This card is a Dark Peddler card. Like when you
Oh
play
yeah.
Dark Peddler, you're looking for this card.
Oh yeah. Peddler's gone too. There's no way.
This is why you play Dark Peddler for this card. This is how Warlock survived with a really low cost deck because of this card.
Agreed. Absolutely
And now
agree.
Dark Peddler just became really, really minuscule in value. I think aren't too many other one drops cards other than this one that you're looking for off a Dark Peddler turn.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
that's just how it's going to be.
No, that's absolutely right.
The
It's,
only other card, only other one drop you were probably looking for then, besides this one, is Argent Commander. No, not Argent Commander. What's the one drop that gives your minion plus 3 attack?
is it Squire? No, it's not Squire. Oh, jeez.
we're bad at this.
We're
Um,
really bad at this. You asked the wrong person to talk to you about this kind of stuff on stream.
okay, moving on. Uh, Power Overwhelming is gone from standard, and wow, this completely changes the Warlock Faces Manipulator Leroy deck with this card gone.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
The Leroy Faces Manipulator deck, the combo.
Yeah, yeah.
This completely changes that, does it not?
Hmm.
Yes, that
Yes.
it changes that deck. It makes it almost non-existent now. Like, how can you play that deck with not having the extra 4 damage when you can't kill your opponent when they have what is it? Let's see. Leroy is 6, Faces is 12, and then this is 16. So you have to have your opponent down to 12 man or 12 health now instead of 16 to be able to kill him. That's pretty big.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see what they have in store for that to replace that.
Oh, and by the way, you had to have wait. Faces is a 5 drop, correct? And Leroy's a 6 drop.
Yeah. Yeah, you
No.
had to Emperor Thorsan it.
Okay,
That
have
was
the
the.
Emperor, and then have this in your hand plus your Faceless, and then your Leroy. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Rip the combo.
Pretty much.
So, I mean, they're still gonna try it. You know, you're still gonna have the Leroy Faceless after a Emperor, but whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
By the way, Emperor is leaving, right? BlackRock is not going to be in the standard after the next expansion. Is that the expansion that's leaving BlackRock?
You're making me even sadder. I forgot. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, BlackRock is the next one out.
That's absolutely right. That's so sad. Okay.
That was the Adventure expansion. That was the
Yep.
BlackRock Adventure. The expansion directly after that was League of Explorers, which was Reno.
That's
So
so
that
sad.
leaves 2, I believe. But anyways,
Hmm.
moving on. The next card is Ice Lance. Ice Lance? Like I saw this card. I was watching Savich's stream, and when he came down to Ice Lance, I was like, okay, I need to stop watching his stream and look at the page myself because Ice Lance does not make any sense.
Kind of makes
It
sense.
makes sense to you? I'm not. Okay, go ahead. Let's hear your thoughts on why you think they're removing this card.
So there are decks. They're cards that transcend through time, like the Azure Drake. They're the Sylvanas. There are decks. There are only a couple of decks that transcend time. Zoo. Um,
Freeze Mage.
that's about it. That's about it. And Freeze Mage.
Okay, all right.
And Freeze Mage, that's the deck where you can get bursted down like crazy. Like one turn death. You could start at 30 damage. I've died from 45 as a warrior to a ridiculous Freeze Mage combo. And that goes with Ice Lamps, that goes with uh, the
Frostbolt.
Torch,
Oh, the torch.
Frostbolt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so many things that can just like quickly bring you down. Ice Lance being gone is pretty nice.
Okay.
I have to say. I have to say. Like yeah, if for any other reason besides like or for defense, sure you can freeze a minion, and then now they have that mana spell that can kill a frozen minion. Sure, that's you lose that utility, kind of, I guess, whatever. But to take a frostbolt and then two ice lances, that costs them 4 mana to do 11 damage. Imagine that, but then um,
Mm-hmm.
with a blood mage Thanos,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. It just gets worse and worse, and from a bad situation already. So I'm I'm happy to see that one go.
So I think we're seeing a theme here with these cards so far. Would you are you seeing the theme that they are trying to cut down on the combo-ish decks?
I don't think they're trying to cut it down. There's certainly those combos still out there. Bloodlust is still existent.
Right.
Savage Roar. They're just making they're trying to change the meta, which is good. At the end of the day, I agree with them that all these things should happen. Maybe not these specific changes, but something has to shake up the meta enough that you go online and you don't see a bunch of freeze mages, or you see a warlock and you know, oh yeah, I have to stay above 20 health at the end of this.
Right.
Um, they're trying to
Or
shake those things up, and for that, I'm okay. I'm okay with this.
right now we are in a current state. The meta is in a current state. We haven't discussed this, by the way, and this is not part of the our discussion. But I just want to
We'll get
mention,
back to it later.
yeah, I just want to mention that right now the current meta is, and we were talking about this the other day. There's probably 4 or 5 decks, and that's it. If you want to climb the ladder, you have to pick one of 4 or 5 decks to climb the ladder. That's the current meta. I'm not going to go into any specifics, but you have to have one of those 4 decks or 5 decks to do it.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
uh, this card does not fit in those current 4 to 5 decks, or does it?
No, it does
No,
not.
it does not. Okay, I'm just trying to make the case of that maybe this card doesn't change the meta, current standard meta right now. I'm trying to be devil's the devil's advocate here against Blizzard, but
Yeah.
yeah, um, the end of this below the card, the text back here, text down here says Ice Lance was also very high burst damage card, sometimes being a key component of 30 damage combos. Yeah, 30's low. I mean, in some of these decks, they can go for 50, 60 damage if they wanted to. So
So yeah, not sad to see that one go. To
okay,
be
you're not
completely
sad.
honest.
I'm little. I've I'm not a freeze mage guy. I probably played freeze mage. I can probably count it on the fingers on my hands. That's how few times I've played freeze mage.
Mhm.
So I'm not a this card leaving. Like I said, I'm kind of confused. It's like I don't think this is part of the meta, but oh well, it was. This freeze mage was a thing. Before the expansions really started coming out and we got different cards into the decks, freeze mage was a thing. But
Yeah.
right now, no, this is not a thing.
Okay.
But
Okay.
okay, next
Yeah.
one, next card. Okay, that by the way, that was a class card. That was a mage class card. Iceland was a mage class card. The next card is another class card. It is Conceal. It's a 1 drop, and it gives your minions stealth. This is pretty powerful. if you think about it, I mean, it's a one drop card. It gives all your minions stealth. That means you could have your board filled with 7 minions, and this one cost spell gives them all stealth.
Mhm.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah, really big deal.
Go ahead.
They mention in the little quote underneath that they were thinking about removing Gadgeton, the auctioneer.
Hmm.
I would have preferred that, but also that hurts a ton of other decks too. Not just the rogue, like Questing Avenger or the Edwin Van Cleef variety of this combo. But I I like this being done as well. Yeah, you can have an auctioneer, you can have two questing Avengers, and then all of a sudden can't do anything about them. They're just stealth.
Right.
So I like this. I like this change. It kind of well, yeah. You honestly can't. How many decks can you name that Rogue can play without a huge burst damage? I can't think of any.
No, there isn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, right. I mean, there is a deck you can put together for Jade Rogue, but that's the
mhm.
only deck I can think of where you can eventually get to a point where you can really get some damage on the board. But
But
otherwise,
otherwise, yeah. Otherwise, I can't think of anything. And so that's tough. It's tough for them, but
so
uh,
conceal being gone to me is fine. I like again, I don't play the conceal rogue deck. Auctioneer, gadgets and auctioneer deck with conceal. I have never played it actually. I don't think I've ever played a deck like that. So this card being gone to me is again another one of those questions. Like, okay, yeah, fine. If you got to do it, you got to do it. Um, but I don't think they can do anything to auctioneer because they have already nerfed auctioneer.
they did already nerf Auctioneer. But like I said, that's the thing that you can see in other decks as well, like the Jade Druid or any Jade deck to be, or
Yeah, you're right.
oh, more specifically Jade Druid.
Jade Druid.
That Jade Idol, and then you just shuffle in and
Keep
rinse and repeat.
and keep drawing cards. Yes, and keep
Exactly.
keep the card draw flowing with the Gaddison Auctioneer with the Druid deck because of their one cost Jade card. By the way, Blizzard. Since we're discussing one cost cards, by the way, that one cost Jade card is pretty powerful too.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Anything
But
else
yeah,
on anything else on conceal? I believe conceal is one of the ways that Rogue had a competitive advantage, I guess, in matches was conceal with conceal, and
no, agreed.
a lot of a lot of the rogue class cards have stealth or have the stealth mechanic to go along with it as the battle cry, buffing stealth cards and stuff like that. So to me, rogue kind of needs a conceal type-ish card. Maybe it doesn't need to be cost one. Maybe it could be cost three, or two or something like that, but not one. Not a one cost stealth all your minions. I mean, gracious, you could stealth Ragnaros, you could stealth like we were talking. Ragnaros is gone. You stealth Sylvanas, you stealth any of the cards that you have on the battlefield. It's really really powerful.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I'm glad it's gone, but I don't know. I'm excited to see. I feel like this is my conspiracy. Like I'm putting on like the foil hat on now.
Okay.
The conspiracy is if they're removing these class cards, they're probably going to add some class cards
Yeah,
back.
for sure. I agree.
So I'm looking forward to those. If they
Yes.
if they're not removing a class card from every class, like oh yeah, Druid, you don't have mana, wild growth. Oh, that would be horrible, or something like that. They're not doing this to every class, so I think they'll try to get something back in there for those warlock, mage, and rogues.
Yep. They're for sure going to add cards. In fact, you saw in some of those quotes of by Blizzard that the changes are coming. Or I'm sorry, new cards are coming, and some of them sound like they're going to be pretty powerful with death rattles and obviously a conceal or maybe freeze type effects and stuff like that. So it's it's going to be interesting and exciting to see what they do add to the current standard.
Mhm. Absolutely agree. Okay, so we've gone through all the class cards. Can we go back to what we're missing out from these expansions and adventures that they're taking out? Because I think that's pretty big.
Oh, was that at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
Okay. Yeah, go
every
ahead.
year, every year they drop, or not drop. Every year, the adventures and expansions from previous, I think it's the last 2 years, they're trying to keep standard within the last 2 years of expansions and adventures.
Right.
So this upcoming year, the year of the mammoth, they are removing what was it? Grand Tournament, League of Explorers, and shoots Black Rock Mountain. Those are
That's pretty big.
pretty big for the meta right now.
It's pretty big.
Like you mentioned a little bit before, Emperor's going to be taken out of standard rotation. Reno Jackson is rotated. That's a gigantic uh, loss for everyone who's playing like those Kazakus decks
Right.
or just a Reno deck in general. I have a little soft spot. Elise Stars. Elise is going to be out of the rotation.
Yes.
But I thought of another one. Bran. Bran was part of League of Explorers as well.
Yep, he's going to go too, and he was a very powerful 3 drop with any like say you had a card that did damage on the as a battle cry, or a card that gave you drew a card on as a battle cry, or gave what's the other really good battle cry
A Kazakus. He makes
Kazakus
two
give you
spells.
spells. Oh man, I mean Brand Kazakus is why you played Reno decks.
Pretty much, yeah. So I Reno decks, yeah. Rest in peace. The year of the mammoth has ended you completely. Um,
When is this going to start? When does the new standard start? Does it say? No. It doesn't
uh,
say when the next expansion's coming out, does it?
the expansion they typically roll out in like a pretty set up like schedule. So people are saying that it's gonna happen mid March,
Okay.
and then yeah, that's probably when all of this will be happening.
So all you Dragon Reno decks, yes, you're gone.
All of you, yeah, all of those Reno Warlock decks, the Reno Mage decks. I'm most sad about the Reno loss for sure because I can give you like 6 of my decks right now, 6 of my 18 that are centered around Reno.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I mean, Freeze Mage had a comeback with Reno.
yeah, pretty much. And then like, what is it? Shadow Priest. Yeah, Dragon Priest
Dragon
Reno,
Priest Reno.
or the Dragon Reno Priest. Like,
Right. Warlock Reno.
you don't get. Sure, yeah, you could still have a Kazakus or a Raza in your deck if you can get to that point. With all these aggressive decks, like
You're
I feel
right.
like my favorite win condition is when I'm going up against Pirate Warrior and I can withstand all of that power. He has one card in hand, nothing on the board, and then I just put a Reno out, and then he concedes. That's probably the most satisfying feeling, because you withstand all of that damage,
Right.
and then just go back straight to 30. Now, what are you gonna do? I don't know. Yet to be seen again. With this upcoming, I believe it's an adventure coming out actually.
No, no, no. If you
No?
read, yeah, if you read, I forget where it is.
Okay.
It's here somewhere. You'll see that it's going to be 3 expansions this year.
3 expansions and a adventure? Because League of Explorers was an adventure.
Oh, here it is. For the year of the Mammoth, our release cycle will include a 130 card expansion at the start of the year, a 130 card expansion in the middle of the year, and a 130 card expansion at the end of the year.
Yeah, I believe one of those is going to be an adventure though.
No, it says why the change of release cycle. at their core, adventures paint colorful and thematic stories about the Hearthstone universe.
Uh,
Imagine being able to learn about the history and lore behind each of our sets inside the game in a similar way, defining who the Jade Lotus are through a series of battles between the main trees of goddess and families who have been
oh, they're
a great way to.
combining them with expansions.
Yeah, it looks
Okay.
like they're going to have a story. It's called a take the. That concept is something we would like to do more of in the future sets. Take the storytelling and cool missions of adventures and combine them with the card pools of expansions. Cards
So, okay.
cards will be acquired via packs like other expansions in the past. Additionally, each release will include optional single player missions that will help develop those expansions, thematic narratives, and other fun challenges. So instead of a whole full adventure mode like we've been having every so often, it's going to be a mission, a single player mission with the release of card packs.
Interesting. Okay. So, all right, that's intriguing. I kind of like that. It lets you just dive right into it. I mean, I know with a couple of adventures, like you'll go on ladder and you'll run into people with Reno Jackson. Oh wait, how did he get that card? You have
Mm-hmm.
to do the adventure mission.
Adventure, right?
Whereas this is kind of, oh yeah, everyone's gonna be at the same pace,
Exactly.
I
Yes.
guess. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. You don't know how many players, or you don't know how many times I've played Lothab, and the opponent like held their cursor over their card just to read the text because they had no idea what the card was. You know, because
Yeah.
it was a Naxxramas card. You know,
Yeah.
and so like they're looking at this card like, what just happened? you
Why is mind control now 15?
know.
What? Because people are running mind control for some reason. But yeah, no, I completely agree. But you know,
Sludge Belcher, same thing.
oh man, we should just do an in memoriam of like all the cards that we miss. Piloted Shredder, we'll miss you.
I'm going
Unless
back.
you,
Well, once this next expansion starts, I'm one of those people who would go back to Wild instead of Standard.
see, I'm not. So I like the standard. I like having limited selections because yeah, if you look back at all the cards that Hearthstone's ever had ever,
Hmm.
that's a lot to mull over for a deck.
So
If you're just trying to make a 30 card deck, you have to go through hundreds, thousands, maybe. I don't know. But I I like it kind of simplified with like the limited selection.
hmm
So, but to that note as well, once once Yogg is removed from removed from the rotation, I think I'm done with the game. You gotta give me something
I
as good as Yogg or better. Otherwise, I'm
that
done.
nerf to Yogg though. If he didn't die, like if he dies, that is such a letdown. You know?
If he dies, it's always hilarious how he does so. Oh yeah, elemental destruction. Whoops. Or oh,
Right.
fireball yourself. That's
Yes.
funny. You know, um,
Right.
I'm not in it for the we are talking in terms of our competitive like experiences.
hmm
I haven't touched past rank 12 in months. I I played the most gimmicky, the most cheesy, the dumbest, most RNG decks of all time,
Right.
and I'm happy with that. How
Me
it will
too.
impact the competitive play, we'll see.
That's something I think. Well, I mean, I don't think anyone is questioning that people just want to play gimmicky decks and see how far up the ladder they get with them, like you or me, or anybody. But I think that's one of the uh, what am I? It's one of the types of people that Blizzard kind of forgets about. And I think these changes are trying to cater to that kind of person that wants to put this deck together, like say a I don't know, whatever kind of deck, whatever gimmicky deck you can think of, and give them a chance, maybe possibly, to rank up with it. That's what these changes feel like to me.
Yeah, no, I get that for sure.
So maybe your
Uh,
gimmicky decks will start to work now after these changes have been made. I don't know. We still have the patches decks and stuff like that to deal with, but maybe you'll get your wish, and these gimmicky decks will start to emerge, and you'll find games where you're like, oh really? Where a card is played, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm in this. It's like I think that's what they're trying to get after here. They're trying to
That
get
I
after
always
that
feel
kind of
like I'm
thing.
in the game. Oh, put down Yogg? Yeah, I either win or you go down fighting. And
Well, I
yeah.
mean, well, see, like, okay, so let's say I put together a deck which I know is never played on the ladder, but a deck where I'm comfortable playing. Like, I know how to play the deck. Like
Yeah.
I just know like what cards I need to play at certain points of the game. But if
Hmm.
you're playing a, let's say, a Reno Priest, Dragon Reno Priest, they're gonna be points during that game where you're like, well, the game's over. I can't play the rest of my deck because the game's over.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
this is the kind of thing I think they're trying to get away from is when you see a deck being played against you and you know you're not playing the type of deck that can compete with it, that it's just automatically over. I think this is the kind of direction they're steering everybody.
No, interesting. Interesting way of looking at it. Yeah. Excuse me.
Hey, no problem, man. It's a Thursday, February the 16th, 2017 today.
Hmm. After 3 straight days of streaming with To Live and Die, it's all catching up. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, someone who stays up until what 3 o'clock in the morning? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I slept through my alarm today, so I
Excellent.
should not be saying anything. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to see where these changes go. Um, More excited for the expansion. I think Gadgetzan was cool. I like the idea that you have 3 classes of cards, but I need to see more. Because
Yeah,
yeah, the meta has just kind of gone
yeah.
static.
I
It's
don't.
plateaued hard.
I do not think that these six removals change the meta that much right now. As of right
Oh
now,
yeah, no,
February
absolutely.
16th.
I
But
it's gonna change the most with the expansion,
exactly, right.
for
So
sure.
with the expansion and the removal of those three expansions that we talked about, the Grand Tournament, League of Explorers, and Blackrock Mountain, this next expansion will for sure change the meta completely. And it'll be fun to see how that meta looks. By the way, so let's talk about money since we're talking about Blizzard. 130 card expansion, 330 card expansions this year. They're going to probably give you the option to buy a pack in advance, which is $50, I believe.
I don't remember.
Is it 50 or 60? I'm pretty sure it was $50.
$50 for 60 packs, I believe it is.
Yeah, so that's the if you order it before the expansion comes out, you get a discount of $10, I believe, on the 50 packs, which is $50
Hmm.
or 60 or whatever the cost was. So let's think about this: three expansions, $50. That's $150 to keep up with the meta. Now, if you're a player who saves your gold or save your dust, that might not mean much. But for people who like to keep, get the cards when they come out, that's $150 this year alone for these three expansions. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a lot.
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Yeah, with the adventures, at least like, yeah, you can unlock those with gold, and then you get cards, essential cards as you go. I guess this forces you to have to buy with your saved up gold or with your money. Yeah, you have to buy packs. Um,
Now you can obviously craft these cards with dust. Once the expansion comes out,
oh yeah, yeah.
they'll be in your library to craft with dust. But I'm not. I watch streamers. I watch people play, Hearthstone on YouTube and stuff like this. And I don't know of anybody who has like thousands and thousands of dust that they can just spend on these cards. You know,
Streamers.
just
they,
streamers.
they will get all of these cards and be like, what is the point of this one? Um, so I'm looking forward to that. Maybe I can build a meta for myself based
Right.
on these cards, because surely I have no idea what's gonna happen now.
You know what? This might be a year since we're going to have three expansions. This might be a year where I actually do not pre-order, and I try to see where the meta is and see where the better cards are, and just craft those cards.
Yeah, no,
Might
that's yeah.
might be a year I do that. Uh, Previously, I've always been in there, waiting, can't wait to open the next expansion with the the pre-order. But this year it might be a year where I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's see where the meta is. Let's see what cards I need to play in the meta in the current meta, and I might just go ahead and save my dust for those particular cards because I've ordered these, you know, expansions pre-ordered them and stuff, and I gotta tell you, I could probably name you 20 cards or 30 cards in the last three expansions that I play with regularly.
3 expansions. That's pretty. That's a little much. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
think it's gonna be three.
The gadgets, this Mean Streets of Gadgetzan expansion. Let's just take the last one, the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan expansion. I don't know if I play with on a regular basis with the kind of deck I'm playing on ladder with. I don't know if I play with one card from the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan, and it's like, did I order those cards for nothing? You know.
Yeah.
So I think I might take a more conservative approach this time and see what exactly the cards are, and if I want a card, then I'll craft it.
No, fair enough. That's. I mean, that's how kind of how I'm going to. I'm trying to get all these gold quests out of the way just so I can have some gold. I'm not
Yes.
gonna spend money on these, and I have like how much gold? 4,500, maybe.
Yeah, you're a gold hoarder.
I'm a gold hoarder, but I also don't play arena, so that's why.
I don't play arena, but I use my gold and buy packs every day.
Oh, yeah, no, I'll save my gold for the expansions. I think right now I'm in a good place with like my collection where I don't want to buy. Like if I
Right,
need to craft something, I'll craft something. But
right, exactly. That's probably the approach I'm going to take with these expansions this year. Is just be conservative. And if there's a legendary that I absolutely want or have to have, then I'll probably craft it instead of trying to find it in a pack that I have to buy. That's probably what I'll end up doing. My whole take on the crafting and the dust and everything is my dust is spent for legendaries. That's why I save my dust for the legendary cards because I want the legendaries.
mhm.
The other cards, you know, they'll come along. I'll buy the packs. They'll come along.
Yeah, no, no, absolutely. So I don't know. That's we'll see. It's all it's all yet to be seen. So
Yep.
I'm looking forward to how things go.
Okay, last thing we need to talk about, and we're almost at an hour here, so we'll try to cut this at about an hour. We have about 6 minutes to talk. Awarden Awarden, the new hero for for Rogue.
Hmm.
The new Rogue hero, Maeve Shadow Song, has emerged from the shadows, eager to become part of your Hearthstone collection after 10,000 years of tolerating bad. You were not prepared jokes from Illidan. Legion beware, adding this vengeful night elf to your collection will be easier than teaching an old fellhound new tricks. Just win 10 games of Hearthstone in standard, ranked, or casual mode after the next expansion officially launches to acquire her. What do you think about that? Getting a card without paying.
Getting a hero without paying, yeah.
Getting a hero without paying.
I'm excited. I mean, I honestly there are a lot of these that not if correct me if I'm wrong. Medivh is the only one that or no, not Medivh.
It's
Was
the
it Medivh?
no, it's the priest. The priest one you had to be a Twitch Prime member,
Twitch one you had to be Twitch Prime.
right? Priest.
Morgul you had to refer a friend
Refer
and
a
have that
friend.
friend get to rank 20.
Hmm.
I think the other ones, yes, you did have to buy. Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like Illyria,
Right.
what is the
Medivh
war? The
Warrior.
Medivh?
Warrior was the
Oh my
I
gosh.
forget his name. Yeah, but Medivh I think you had to buy, and the Warrior you had to buy, and Illyria had to buy.
And then Kagar? The third mage.
There's a third mage.
There's a third mage.
Oh,
I'm
I have not seen the
I'm
third
gonna
mage.
look this up so I don't sound like an idiot.
It doesn't matter. But anyways, we're going to get a new hero, and all you have to do is win 10 games in standard. So
Khadgar.
standard Khadgar, okay. In standard play, you have to win 10 games in standard ranked or casual, which is nice. I like that. And then you get the hero for Rogue, and that makes me happy because guess what hero I'm trying to get to 500 wins? The Rogue class, so I'll be able to show off my new hero once the new expansion comes out.
Oh yeah, that was something else I wanted to ask you because yeah, you don't play that much rogue in the first place. So
No,
when we came to conceal, you're like, yeah, this doesn't bother me.
it doesn't because the type of rogue decks I make are not concealed decks.
Yeah,
They're not.
so
In fact, my two rogue decks right now are Jade and a Dragon. I have a Dragon Rogue and a Jade Rogue. Those are my only two rogue decks.
Jade deck, and I have a Reno deck, a Reno Rogue, and it's always done me right. So yeah, pretty bitter about the loss of Reno, I have to say.
Yeah, that's going to hurt a lot of people. I liked Reno and in some decks also. I made some really nice tavern brawls with some Renos. Yes, it's going to be bad for that. Although tavern brawls sometimes tavern brawls are weird. Okay, this is the one weird mode of play for Hearthstone. Sometimes tavern brawls are standard, and sometimes tavern brawls are wild. Have you noticed that?
No, I think they're aren't they usually wild?
No, no. I
Oh,
forget which we just had one in the last couple of weeks, which was only standard cards for a tavern brawl.
oh,
I thought it was weird. And normally tavern brawls are wilds, like they're all every card in the you know in, in the library. But there was one that was only standard. It was really weird. But anyways, so just to recap, we lost 6 cards. 3 of them are what are called common cards: Azure Drake, Sylvanas Windrunner, and Ragnaros the Fire Lord. And then 3 we have 3 class cards: Power Overwhelming, a Warlock card, Ice Lance, a Mage card, and Conceal, a Rogue card. Are gone from standard. They were in our classic decks from the beginning and are now gone. If you play standard, you cannot use these cards any longer. Plus, the next major announcement from Blizzard is that they're going to have 3 expansions this year. 3 130 card expansions, which equals 390 extra cards by December.
hmm
And a new hero is going to be released, Maeve Shadow Song. Your last thoughts, Molar Bear? What do you think about this? All of this?
It's a lot of excitement for a game that's kind of just been plateauing, or not plateau, but like super static with this past expansion's meta and decks and things like that. So I think this is exciting for all of us for sure. It comes at the perfect time because I hate seeing Shaman decks and Pirate Warrior. So I'm excited people are going to try things out. People will find new things to play. It comes at the perfect time.
And my last thoughts are that yes, it's very exciting. This next expansion and the removal of the what's it called, the evolution of our standard meta. This next expansion is going to change everything. The Renos, the Emperor Thorson decks, the Renos decks, gone. No more in standard. That's very exciting to me because I am a gimmicky deck, as Polar Bear knows, and
Yep.
I want those decks to come back into the ladder so that I can not only see them but I can play them and feel like I have a chance.
Yeah. So I don't.
Rip Yogg in about a year. Sorry.
Wait. Hold on one second. I have one special surprise for you at the
Uh
end.
oh.
Guess what other card's part of the League of Explorers deck?
Oh my. Let's see if I can remember. Man.
It's yours. It's your favorite.
Oh right. Summoning Stone.
Summoning Stone will be gone with
Yep.
this rotation.
Yes, and I keep mentioning to you that I will no longer play standard if Summoning Stone isn't there. But you know what? But you know the what's keeping me in standard is that the spells aren't quite there for Summoning Stone. Like I need to see better type of spells
Yep.
um, in this. Although there are two spells right now that really excite me for Summoning Stone is the Druid restore 6 health and create a 6 mana
Yeah.
minion,
Yeah.
and then the I'm sorry, there's 3 of them. And then the Paladin, give this minion +2/+2 and summon a 2 drop, I think it is.
So you like the portals?
Yeah, I like the portals for Summoning Stone. Those are the only 2 cards, of the only cards in the current meta where Summoning Stone can really shine.
Okay.
Can't use it though, because if you play Summoning Stone on turn 5, you're going to be dead.
Pretty much. Anyhow, yeah, that I just had to bring that up to you to remind you.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. And you're right. The Summoning Stone is, oh man, I, it's one of those cards where if I can get a deck together that can survive until like turn 6 or 7, Summoning Stone is going to be on my deck for sure.
Yep. Well, we'll have to see how things go. I'm excited. Next couple months will be really good for Hearthstone.
A lot of people are hoping so too. I know I'm one of them. But this
Yeah.
is my game. Hearthstone. When Hearthstone came out, I made a decision that if I'm going to put, of all the games that are out there, if I'm going to put money into a game and continue to play because I just love these type of games, Hearthstone was going to be it. And so I got to stick with it. I got to stick with the game and be the fanboy that I am.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that.
All right, sir. It was very nice to talk to you. Very nice
Yeah.
discussion.
Great good discussion. Looking forward to the card reveals once that comes out in the
Uh
next
huh.
couple weeks.
Yes, indeed. The card reveals are going to be strong, strong in Hearthstone the next couple weeks. Yeah. Okay. You take care, sir. We're going to end the video right now.
All right. See ya.
I am to live and die. That was Molar Bear.